Hey, good morning, friends. Today, my friends, is Monday, November the 10th, 2025, and the time now is 7:40 a.m. So, friends, I want to talk about Nigeria. I want to talk about Donald Trump and Nigeria, or the United States and Nigeria. And specifically, I want to talk about what happened or what came out last week. And this pertaining to the fact that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, made a threat, basically threatening to attack Nigeria, to bomb Nigeria. Basically, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, made a threat directed at Nigeria, stating that he is going to send the U.S. military into Nigeria, gun blazing. And this is basically the whole idea that Christians are being genocided in Nigeria, and that if the Nigerian government doesn't take a swift action, that the United States is going to take a swift action. So this is a very interesting thing, because right now there is a genocide going on in Gaza, which the President of the United States and the U.S. government doesn't acknowledge that, even though they are supporting it. There is a genocide going on in Sudan. The President of the United States and the U.S. Government, as well as the rest of the Western government, they do not acknowledge that, and they do not care about that. In fact, the media in the United States and the West doesn't even give a crap about it. There is a genocide going on in the Congo, DRC Congo, which has been happening for a long time, and the white West doesn't care about it. In terms of Sudan, we do have the genocide, which has been going on for a while now, at least for the past 2, 3 to 4 years. They do not care, because these are black Muslims who are being killed. So it is very interesting that Donald Trump, as propagated by the Christian rights, the white supremacist Christian rights, wants to go into Nigeria, quote unquote, gun blazing, to bomb the place, to free and protect Christians, black Christians. To that, I am saying that if Christians are being genocided in Nigeria, why don't the United States take them? Which I do believe the United States doesn't want these Christians from Nigeria. These are black Christians. These are black people. They are already deporting black people out of the United States. Brown people, Latino, Mexicans, and so on. Asians and other non-white people are being deported out of the United States. So if you're a Nigerian, I hope you know that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and the U.S. government doesn't care about you. Now, friends, it is also an interesting thing, because throughout social media, I'm seeing white people, white Christians in the United States they are propagating the notion that Christians are being genocided in Nigeria, and that the United States should take action. It is very interesting that these people were alive. They knew what the United States did into Iraq. And these were the same people who propagated the notion that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, and basically pushed the United States to go into Iraq. And today, Iraq is destroyed. These were the same people who pushed the United States into Libya. Muammar Gaddafi was murdered. Libya is totally destroyed. And ISIS, Boko Haram, and other terrorist groups emerged in Libya. And now we are seeing the situation basically rampaging, okay? Basically messing up the Sahel region in Africa, the rest of West Africa, and Africa. So it is very interesting that the United States and the West, they create a problem and basically offer themselves as the solution. Now, friends, in terms of Nigeria, it is very interesting. On social media, I'm seeing many Nigerians expressing their joy. Basically, they are welcoming of the United States into Nigeria, that the United States, Donald Trump, should take action to bomb Nigeria. That, to me, is basically treason. Basically, what you're doing, if you're a Nigerian welcoming an attack by a foreign entity of your country or on your country, is a treason. And it is very interesting that many Nigerians seem to forget that this was the same propagation that the United States made, that basically pushed the United States, or by which the United States pushed itself into Iraq. Today, Iraq is destroyed. So as a Nigerian, you need to realize that when the United States is coming into your country to attack this or that, the U.S. doesn't care about Nigeria. The U.S. is basically carrying out a strategic geopolitical aim, a perspective, okay, a geopolitical end or strategy, which in this case deals with the subjugation of Nigeria physically, psychologically, emotionally, and so on. Now, should the United States go into Nigeria, will the lives of Christians be better? No. The lives of Christians are not going to improve. In fact, there has been images and videos coming out of prominent European politicians basically talking, okay, propagating maps of a broken Nigeria. So this is what they want to do, is to break Nigeria, okay, break the country apart. And it is said that the oil of Nigeria is in the south, the southeast, which is also in the Biafra area. Now, Nigeria, like any country, does have its negatives and positives. And there has been a civil war in Nigeria before, the Biafran War. The government of Nigeria, the state of Nigeria as we know it today, won. Biafra remains part of Nigeria. Yes, there has been many agitations in Biafra and by many Biafrans. One prominent Nigerians or Biafrans is Nnamdi Kanu, who has been propagated and been striving for an independent Biafra, basically the breaking up of Nigeria. Now, as an African, I do believe that an attack on Nigeria by the United States or the West is a declaration of war against every African, every black person that breed. First of all, West Africa has about 400 or so million people, with the exception of Nigeria, which has about 230 million people to 235 million people to 250 million people, depending on the source. The vast majority of West African countries, their population is about 25 million people or below. Nigeria has about 230 to 250 million people. The Sahel states, Burkina Faso, Mali, and so on, Chad, Niger, their population is about 25 to 23 million people, and so on. So friends, compared to the other countries in West Africa, Nigeria is very much overwhelmingly populated with about 230 to 250 million people, as I've repeated several times now. And the vast majority of the countries in West Africa, their population is within the 25 million people range and below. Let's assume the United States go into Nigeria. The US cannot just go into Nigeria and move back. The US is going to occupy Nigeria. Now, friends, I've stated in one of my programs that the best way to destroy a family is to destroy, corrupt the parents, the mom, the dad, or in this case, the big brother or big sister. Once you achieve that, you can basically decimate the kids, the children. Nigeria is like a big brother, big sister in Africa. Should the United States go and break up Nigeria or occupy Nigeria, it's going to be a smooth sailing for the United States and the West into West Africa and Africa. Let's assume the United States go into Nigeria, break apart the country, and create a civil war. Out of Nigeria's 230 to 250 million people, let's assume 25, 50, or even 100 million people leave the country due to the civil war. That is going to be a humanitarian, a geopolitical, a diplomatic crisis, a catastrophe for the rest of Africa. This is why I believe if you're a Nigerian, propagating and welcoming an attack on your country by the United States, not only you are committing treason in this case, you are leading your country down the rabbit hole into destruction, but you are causing chaos, you are welcoming chaos upon the rest of Africa, because a destruction of Nigeria, an occupation of Nigeria by the United States is basically a humiliation and a destruction of African unity and African progress. Now, friends, please tell me what you think, and I really want to know what you think. However, friends, I'm going to end here. I want to thank you for being a member of the Echoing Voice community, my friends, but most especially and most importantly, or most important, friends, I want to thank you a lot for watching the Echoing Voice. Peace, my friends. Peace.